For this video, we're going to continue talking about landform creation and how the movement of plates on the Earth leads to different landforms. First, we're going to talk about plates and how they create mountains. So the first type of plates we're going to talk about are divergent plates. Divergent plates are plates that are moving away from each other. So if you can see here are my two plates, and the plates are moving in opposite direction. This usually occurs underwater. And when the plates move away from each other, it leaves a gap. And as we know, the plates are floating on the asthenosphere, which is magma. And when it makes a gap, the magma moves up between the gap and comes to the surface. And as it comes up, it cools, and it starts to pile on top of one another, and it creates new rock. And, you know, if it continues, it can end up making a mountain. The next are plates that are called transform plate boundaries. These transform plates are ones that are moving in opposite directions, but they're moving very close to each other. So there isn't a gap, and they're not pushing on each other. They're just slowly moving past each other. And this creates sort of a grinding effect. So, you know, parts of the plates start to break off as they pass by each other, and it creates a lot of friction. And along the plate where it's rubbing, it can create earthquakes. So if we look back on here, the picture that I showed you, it's a very small area. This plate here, it could be grinding along this plate here or this plate here. And this entire area here could be grinding along and be creating friction, and you could get earthquakes that occur anywhere along the boundary of those two plates rubbing together. So those are transform plates. And the last type of plate are the convergent plate boundaries. So these are those plates that are pushing towards each other, and there's extreme pressure, and as they push towards each other, the edges start to break off and they start to pile on top of each other and fold up, and this is what creates our fold mountains. So it's the compression of those two plates kind of mixing together and folding on top of one another, and then you get that peak and that fold mountain. When an underwater plate and a continental plate converge, so for example, the Pacific plate and the North American plate. So you have an underwater plate. So if you imagine that plate is below sea level. And then you have a continental plate. So the area of the continental plate that's on the west coast of North America, that plate is much higher. When those two converge or push on each other, what often happens is the ocean plate will go beneath the continental plate. So they kind of push, and the one plate goes underneath. And so along the boundary where the two plates meet and the one is pushing by, we now have that friction and that grinding happening. So we can get earthquakes along that. But also for the continental plate, because it's sort of being bent down, you know, with the pressure of the underwater plate, it starts to crack and separate, which then allows for magma to escape through those gaps and create volcanoes. So there's lots of different things that can happen with convergent plates.